So I have a lovely guest with me today. I have Faith. I'm going to read her bio to you. So I have Faith. How do you say it, Faith? Phaith Montoya?
Montoya.
Montoya. And she is an FSU alum, returned to New Jersey pre-pandemic to start over, losing her substitute teaching job when COVID hit. During this time, she found a supportive community, embraced her passion for fashion and beauty as a plus-size woman, and began breaking barriers in spaces not always welcoming to women like her. Now a full-time content creator, she inspires others to live and love their lives in whatever body they have. What a aligned guest for this podcast. So, Faith, welcome to the Body Love Binge.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited for today.
So, I don't know if you know, but when I have guests on, I like to do 10 fun rapid fire questions before we get into the juice of the episode. So, are you up for that?
Yes.
Okay. So, number one, what's your go-to comfort food?
My go-to comfort food, pizza.
Love.
Can't go wrong with pizza.
I totally agree with that. Number two, if you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Anywhere in the world, I would probably go to Brazil.
Have you been before?
No, I've never, but Brazil's like PR team on social media right now is like going crazy because all I see down my For You page is Brazil.
Amazing. I've not been either yet. Number three, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Love like binge watching some trash reality TV. That is my favorite.
One of the questions, in fact, the next question is, funnily enough, what's the last TV show you binge watched?
Oh, perfect. Love Island. Right now I'm kind of going through all of like the UK seasons, the USA seasons. And yeah, me and my boyfriend, we love it.
So it's called Island. I've not heard of that. I'm not a, I watch things like, have you heard of Gaia? It's like a spiritual Netflix kind of, I'm on that at the minute.
Really? No, yeah,
Yeah,
I've not heard of
yeah,
that.
good. Number five, no, that's what I just asked you. Number six, how do you define body positivity in no more than 5 words?
Ooh. Uh, intersection. I think, do you want me to like say a sentence or just like five separate words?
Whatever you want. I mean, of course, if you want to say a sentence, you can have more than 5 words, but like to
Yeah,
keep it short, because we're going to go into
keep
the
it
depth of
short.
this. Yeah.
Um, I think it is dismantling fat phobia, intersectionality, and inclusivity.
Oh, love. Boom. What's your favorite season of the year and why?
Summer, I feel like I was raised in Florida, so it was kind of like summer all year round, and that is where I thrive. I just walk around with a great tan, and I don't even like consider sweating. I like feel like I'm glowing,
Mm,
and my curls are like always just really hydrated because it's not like cold in winter. I don't know. I feel like I'm the best me in the summer.
love that. I love how your perception was from sweating to glowing like a
Yeah.
goddess. Hell yeah. If you could have dinner with any celebrity, who would it be?
Probably Issa Rae. I love her. I love her mind, and I love how she came up and just kind of brought everybody with her.
Yes. And you are a mini her in your own beautiful way, I feel,
Thank you.
knowing your story now. Number nine, what's your most used emoji?
Well, definitely like the crying one with the tears falling down their face though. You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about? Yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely it.
totally. With that's on, you know how like your phone creates a favorite list, like that's
Yes.
gone definitely up
That
there.
is the number one, whether I'm sad. I don't know. It's like this new generation's LOL. You know how you always like soften a blow with like LOL. Like that is my soften the blow. Like I will throw that everywhere.
I love that. And number 10, what's one thing you cannot live without?
One thing I cannot live without, it sounds terrible, probably my phone. I think that it's a
Mm,
great way for me to connect to like my community. You know, I love to just document my life, and even if I don't always like post it, I love just looking back on so many, memories and things. I don't know, I feel like my phone is just the key to access so many things.
yeah. I agree in this world, and like especially because we're going to dive into your story and what you do. You're a full-time don't want to say influencer. Is that an insult? Content creator, influencer? Are
These
you?
days, people gotta tread lightly because they get really, really serious about the term. So I always say content creator. Some may call me an influencer. I don't mind being called either.
Great. So you need your phone to support the people that you're supporting. So let's dive in straight away with your story. If you don't mind sharing what your experience has been with eating disorders, and then what was the turning point for you then into recovery?
Yeah, it's really odd. I out of nowhere decided I wanted to get a psychology degree because I learned to go into like get go into medical school. It really doesn't matter what you study in your undergraduate as long as you take core classes. So they were like, you can be any major. You don't have to do biomedical engineering, which is what I was going to do from the first place. I was like, oh, well, then I'm going to do something easy or something more simple that I feel like I can grasp and then just
Yeah.
take the hard classes. So that's how I got into psychology. When I even signed up for psychology, I didn't even know how to spell the word. Like that's how you know I was so far removed from it. But being in the classes and taking them, I obviously they got into a lot of serious topics like mental illness and eating disorders. And I just remember sitting in those classes like, oh, this sounds like very familiar. And luckily, the college that I went to offered a few like therapy sessions every single semester for free for all of the students enrolled. So I started going to a therapist, and she said that she thinks that I have an eating disorder, which is binge eating disorder. And I think growing up, you hear a lot about like anorexia and bulimia, but
Mm,
like binge eating disorder, I feel like with people that are plus size is not as recognized
mm,
or doesn't isn't led with a lot of compassion. So it felt very confirming to me, like, okay, this is something that
yeah.
like I didn't just do to myself in a sense, it was deep, and being put on diets at such young age is what had that everlasting impact on my life that even at 20 something years old, I would still find myself like emotionally binging and whatnot. But thankfully I did have the resources to get medicated and to also go to like a nutritionist who helped me month by month just incorporate healthier eating habits. And yeah, I think now these days I'm just more intuitive about my meals and less like restrictive, no counting calories. Like it's a really dark, dark road and a slippery slope that I can go down very fast. So I'm just always really cognizant, and I don't allow a number on a scale, a measurement, determine how nice I'm going to be to myself that day or whether I deserve dinner. And yeah,
Yes.
that's where I'm at.
Oh, it's so powerful. I think it's really important what you're bringing up. People in larger bodies with binge eating disorder, it's not as easily recognized compared to anorexia or bulimia with someone who is very thin. And my question to you, which you already answered, but I think it's worth speaking to. I have never met a person with binge eating disorder who has not been restricted in the past, whether it was through their choice or through their parents' choice when they were younger. So what age did you get put on your first diet? Can you remember?
I want to say like 9,
Mm,
10 maybe. I was actually diagnosed with hypothyroidism when I was around 12 or 13, but I had it a few years prior, and that was what caused me to gain weight.
yeah.
And we didn't get that answer till years later. So probably for 2 or 3 years, I was counting carbs, doing juice diets,
Mm,
Hollywood diets, slim fasts, all in middle school.
yeah.
Even like before then, like I just remember being so young and being put on so many diets. And I had a older brother who would eat 3 times as much as me. Like we would get cheeseburgers, I would get one, he would get four, and it was always very confusing to me. Like, I don't even eat as much as him. Why am I still being restricted? So
Yeah.
I think there was this emotional disconnect that my psychiatrist told me that like now as an adult, I don't get hungry. I like go into like starvation mode. Like my
Yes.
mind is always like afraid. What if somebody starves me again? So
Yeah.
you can't just eat. You have to eat as much as you can to make sure your body gets enough energy for however many days. And it's sick because, it's 10 years removed, like 15 years removed, actually. And my brain is still sometimes locked in that jail of being
Yeah.
like a 9-year-old little girl who was, only being fed like juice for a few days.
Yes, that is so powerful, understanding where you came from, why your eating habits were the way they were. And I always say binge eating is never the problem, restriction's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Binging is just a very healthy response to any kind of restriction. And I had what you had experienced in terms of even when I was eating quote unquote enough, if I was
Mm-hmm.
afraid that I would diet again, I would then binge because my body's like, no, wait, like we need to get it all in now because if she's going to restrict again,
Right.
then that's not good for our survival and for thriving. So it can be physical and a mindset thing, restriction, not just physical.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it like it messes, I forgot what the gland is in your brain, but it's the message that sends that you're hungry. It messes with that. And
Yes.
once that is broken, it's like one of those things that it's like really hard to fix. Like almost like your sleeping patterns and things like that. Like once you get like hooked on melatonin, and you're not producing
Yeah.
it naturally. So it's kind of like a lifelong recovery. But I think the first step is just acknowledging that and like getting
Mm.
those answers.
Great. I think it's the hypothalamus. I think
I
the
think so
one that
too.
regulates temperature,
Yeah.
hunger, fullness,
Yeah.
sleep, all of that. Very important gland. Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you deal with the hyperfixation that people have with your weight, whether you've gained weight, whether you've lost weight, and comparing you to others? Because you have a big social media presence. So I'm sure you get a lot of comments, not always nice. Like, how do you deal with that?
I think the people that are like outwardly nasty to me, I could care less about their opinion. Like the people that are just like intentionally malicious, they have no space in my mind. Like I could care less. You literally are just boosting my engagement. That's all I see you as somebody
Hell
that's
yeah.
literally just pushing me further into my career, putting more money into my pockets. That's all I see them as. I think it's the people like certain women when they think that they are meaning well saying, "Oh,
Right.
you look, you lost weight. You look so good." Like, yes. And I've been very explicit on my social media to not comment on my weight. Not because, I want to be rude or
Hmm.
nasty about it, but simply because I don't want that to be the focus of my life, as it was the focus of my life for so long. I would always
Yeah.
just constantly fixate on my weight. I remember being in college classes, literally sitting like, I lost 2 pounds today. I lost 2 pounds today, like in my class, like just hyper fixating on those things. And I don't want to do that anymore. When people bring my weight to the forefront, I'm like instantly feel like maybe I should weigh myself. Maybe I should
Mm.
see if I lost weight. Or am I seeing what other people are seeing? And recently, because I go to the doctor probably every single month. Actually, I do go to every single month because of my autoimmune disorders. Um, I know how much I weigh. So they'll say, like, you lost so much weight, you look so good. And in my mind, I'm like, I haven't lost a
Mm.
pound. It's just, I've just been working out, doing more body recomposition. Um, but then it makes me feel like a lack. Like there's something
Yes.
lacking, like, well, what, like, and it just kind of puts me down this dark path again of like, maybe I should be losing my weight. Maybe I should be cutting my calories since I'm working out so much and I would lose weight significantly faster. Like, it puts me down such a dark path. And I try to be as honest with my audience as possible and transparent so they can stop saying that. And
Yeah.
I love, love, love my community because I'll see them under people's comments and be like, she said, don't say that. She doesn't take this as a compliment. Like they will arrive for me and I
Yes.
love, love, love them. And again, the women that say that, I don't ever think that like they have this like malintentions. I think we're all victims. I think we're
Yes.
all victims, just kind of like navigating the world together because I know that there's hairstylists, there is you family members that you've seen, and they be like, oh my gosh, you look so good, you lost weight. It's something that's like a part of women culture, right?
Yeah.
And it has been for so long that I can't fault them for it, but I can just be very cognizant about keeping my community educated of how it impacts me.
Yeah. And that will change the world, won't it? If you're sharing how you want to be treated, the people that are saying, I don't get it much anymore because everyone knows what I do. And even though on your page, people know what you do, I think a compliment, even if someone sees you and doesn't think that you've lost weight, I think a lot of people think a way to compliment you as a person is to say, "Oh my God, you've lost weight," whether they think that or not. It's just such a conditioned response to compliment a woman.
No, it really is. My massage therapist did that the other day. She was like, pat yourself on the back.
Oh,
And I was like, oh,
oh no,
but
cringe.
I'm like, I don't want to like get into a whole debacle right now. Like I'm here for my massage, like, so it is tiring because it's like a life of like education, but it's important.
Yes. Yeah, and we have to go first. We can be the
Right.
change. What was it Gandhi said? Be the change that we want to see in the world.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So what habits do you do, if any, every day to support you in keeping that positive mindset towards your body and self-love? Is there any of your like go-tos that you wouldn't want to miss?
Think just being kind to the child inside of me that was, restricted at a really young age. I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes, she wants candy and I'll be like, girl, you're going to get it, but let me eat this fruit first, and
Yeah.
then see how much candy you want to eat. I feel like I listen to her and like, it's okay if you want the ice cream. It's okay if you want, another slice of pizza. Let's just add more instead of taking away. Like, let's add a vegetable before you try, another slice, because maybe that's why you feel hungry, not because you actually want another slice of this, it's because you're lacking other types of nutrients.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of that is a big part of like classism and understanding like socioeconomic status and the impacts it has. I think having this like scarcity mindset for so long and not having the proper education about nutrition,
Yeah.
food deserts
Yeah.
that, only exist of like really fast food spots, that has those long lasting impacts. And just being kind to myself and being like, it's okay, you don't know it all. You weren't raised with a chef or somebody that knew how to make alternative meals, you trying your best and that's really all you can do.
Yeah. So compassion and allowance.
Yes.
I always say adding things in because taking away never, first of all, it doesn't actually work as humans unless we have the genetics for a restrictive eating disorder so we can be quote unquote successful at restricting. That's a fucked up life to live that you don't want to be in. So
Right.
humans are not supposed to restrict food. We're not like wired that way. And so adding
Absolutely.
things in, sorry, go on, Faith.
Oh, no, I was saying absolutely.
Yeah. And so adding things in is really beneficial because it's from that abundant mindset. I love how you're reparenting yourself. So you're acknowledging the little girl who feels afraid from all the restriction in the past. You're allowing that, and you're also adding nourishment in for her. So it's both and it's never either or, is it? It's
Right.
both.
No, absolutely. I feel like it's really crazy to me how like I'll get so many comments, you need to stop eating, you need to eat less. And it's like people are so conditioned to thinking that is the solution when eating less is what made me gain even more. My
Yes.
body's just storing more fat. Like so
Yeah.
yeah, it's really backwards.
Yeah. And when we restrict, let's say talking about pizza, let's say you don't allow yourself to have the pizza you actually want, at some point down the line, if you're anything like me, you're going to binge on pizza.
Yep.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah, literally, you'll have like something can go wrong. Like I don't know, like my jacket can get caught on the door. Something will piss me off, and I'll be like, you know what? Like I'm gonna go to Domino's, like, or I'm gonna go to Pizza Hut and just get the whole slice because, you held on to that for so long instead of just giving
Yeah.
yourself that in that moment, and you didn't have to eat
Yes.
a whole pizza to get there.
Yeah. Have you heard of the book Health at Every Size?
No.
It's a great book. It's by Linda Bacon, Health at Every Size, and she says she's got all this research attached to it, which I like. And she says, and this was, I guess, fascinating, but also not surprising to me at the same time. She did this research that people who are dieted and restricted in the past, 99% of those people turn to food during emotional digress, without a doubt. People who have never restricted and never dieted, and there are a few people in the world that actually have never dieted and never restricted. I'm not sure how, but there are those people in the world somewhere. They actually don't turn to food. They turn away from food during emotional digress. So it makes sense, right? If you've restricted and dieted before, if you need some emotional comfort or emotional support, or even if you're bored or sad or happy, food is there for you because it's been restricted in the past and we're not wired to restrict.
No, that's actually like it makes all the sense. What did you say the book name was again?
Health at every size.
I'm definitely gonna have to.
Yeah, it's a great book, and also to advocate, not that we don't even need to advocate for health either, because there's also when people are in bigger bodies, there's all this, well, at least she's healthy. Well, it's like, well, fuck off. She doesn't have to be healthy. What does that even mean?
Literally, that is one of my biggest things, like, I've had to come to terms with. I used to be one of those people, like, I would post, like, my gym videos, or I would post like, to get some justification, to be like
Yeah.
a see, like I do work out. But now I actually don't care. Like if you think I'm healthy, if you don't, like, who cares? Who is really healthy, especially in this economy? Like we're all like eating whatever processed things, we're all like, people are vaping, people are drinking every weekend, and like that's none of my business. I actually don't care. Like I feel like health is just kind of a way for people to mask themselves as feeling better than others, because it's like, who is truly healthy? And if it's not physical, are you mentally healthy? Because if you're
Oh,
commenting hate
yeah.
on somebody's account, it's given unwell.
Amen to that, sister. Seriously. Like that is like a mic drop moment, because health can be a moralism thing as well. Like at least if she's bigger, at least she's healthy. But yeah, fuck all of that. Do what feels right for you. But this book is good to show that restriction doesn't work, diets don't work, all the facts of it. Obesity isn't dangerous. If you actually move your body and eat vegetables as well as everything else you're eating, that's healthier than someone who is thinner, who isn't doing those things. It's kind of confirmation for what we already know in our soul and what feels right. So I recommend the book for
I'm
sure.
definitely getting that today.
Yeah, awesome. And random, maybe a tangent, but didn't you shave your head, or have I messed up?
I did shave my head.
Can you talk about that? Like, how
I
did that was
did.
the start of your journey for your social media, right? I think.
Yes, I posted like a few videos here and there, especially because like the pandemic, I had no shame, everything's closed down. You don't have to worry about seeing anybody. But I had read when I was in high school, like a magazine, I think it was like a Cosmo or something, that said every woman should shave her head once in her life. And I used to always say, like, I'm gonna do that one day. And my friends would be like, Faith, like you have the longest hair, like you better not, you're never gonna do it. And, I always held on to the sentiment through college. I would tell my friends, one day I'm going to shave my head. And they'd be like, no, you're not. Like, no one ever believed me. I even had like ex boyfriends never believe me. And I was just waiting for that right time when I felt like, oh, this is it. And I think with the pandemic, losing my job, moving across the country and the world shutting down, so I didn't have any friends, living in a basement, getting my heart broken from my long distance boyfriend, losing a father figure. There were just so many things that I was like, wow, this really feels very rock bottomish.
Mm,
And when you're so far down, like I felt like I had nothing else to lose. And I really just wanted a fresh start. My hair was so dead. I had dyed it, bleached it, every color over the moon. So I just wanted a fresh start. And I had no idea the type of change it was going to bring to me, because shaving my head, although it was really physical, it had a very big mental aspect. I think women, we hold a lot of our
mm,
femininity in our hair, and sometimes we hide behind it. And especially being a plus size woman, like for the first time ever, I saw my face. Like I saw all of it from every angle. There was no picture that I could hide behind. There was no sleek back ponytail to like snatch me up. It was just every day I had to face me, even when there were days I didn't recognize myself. And I feel like it unlocked this version of myself that's like, I can do anything now.
mm,
I feel like going in the world as a woman bald, where people would try to like misgender you, or people say that like I have cancer, or like they would just say the most absurd things about me. It's like, I don't know. Now I feel pretty much invincible because I sat with her for years and
mm.
I loved her through all of her phases, through all of her hair growth. And I brought the internet with me for 52 weeks. And at the end of those 52 weeks, I had over 1 million followers.
Wow, that is so beautiful.
Thank
How,
you.
like you sat with that version of you. Well, not that version of you, who you really were, the rawness of who you were. And you're right. I mean, my hair is so thick and long. I can't go for a week without someone commenting about my hair, right? And
Yeah.
would I be brave? Is that the right word to shave my head? It depends what reason for, but that is so powerful what you've shared. How
Thank
did
you.
you because I've got two big questions for you in terms of how you show up today as the woman that you are. The first one around you shaving your head and you sat with you every day. How did you do that when so many of us are in so much shame? And like it's hard to ask the tangible question. I'm thinking of people who hide behind their hair and have to have makeup on and have to be thin and the constant, hamster wheel of what you and I used to be on. How did you get to the point where you were like, fuck it? And then you also were able to be compassionate to yourself. Did you learn compassion from a family member and you just direct it to yourself or?
I feel like I am raised in a beautiful big family of majority women. I think there's only like two men, like two boys, like cousins that I have, but everybody's like women. So I wish I could say that I learned the compassion for like my looks from them, but I feel like we're all very like what is it called? When you're like very,
Competitive? I don't know if I'm
I wouldn't
putting the
say
wrong words.
competitive, like we judge ourselves the hardest, if that makes sense. Like
Oh, yeah.
self-critical. We're very self-critical, you know? So I think I've heard from my mom, my grandma, my aunts, like, oh, this is so flabby, or I need to lose weight. Like, you know, so I don't really feel like the compassion came from there. I even had one cousin tell me I looked ugly with my hair.
Was that the
She was,
boy or
it was a
girl?
girl. It was a
Oh,
woman. And she's like 40 years old. Yes.
wow. That's not
Older.
okay. What about the sisterhood?
Right. Exactly. You know, but I think I don't know. I think something in my mind clicked like, okay, Faith, you have two options. You can sit here and you can dwell and you can hate,
Mm,
you know, hate how you look. That's a very viable option. You can do that. You can exist in that. Or you can exist and you can be kind to yourself no matter which way you look. If you had a friend and they didn't look cute, would you be mean to them? No, because that's not who you are. So if you're not doing that to others, why are you so open to doing that to yourself? And I feel like sitting with that and like allowing myself the permission to be like, it's okay if you don't look cute all the time. Like allowing women to, you know, I wouldn't even, I would say ugly in terms of society, but I don't genuinely think I've looked ugly at any point in my life. But like allowing myself to not be society's idea of beautiful. It's
mm.
okay because I still deserve respect. I still deserve kindness. I still deserve to laugh, to have love. You know, I found my boyfriend when I shaved my head. You know, you still deserve adventure. You still deserve to put on the cute outfits. And, you
Mm.
know, now my earrings, I was like always, I'm a really optimistic person. I was like, now my earrings can show more because I don't have any hair to hide behind them. So I would always like have the cutest earrings on. And you know, you just find that because in life, we always have like these two decisions. Like, yeah, you can be upset and you can let those things restrict you because people think I'm like this overly confident person and I'm really not. I feel like I have my insecurities, but instead of allowing them to like dictate my life, I just be like, well, you're going to get in the back seat and we're going to still take this drive and we're going to go wherever we need to go. You can be here, you can sit there, but you're not going to be driving this car. That's all I know. So I think that
Yes.
is where that shift happened.
Yeah. What I'm hearing you say is the most powerful thing there is choice and then deciding. So meeting yourself where you're at, being like, right, we can choose this, we can choose this, connecting to your inner worthiness, which we all have because we're all innately worthy because we're literally alive. That's all we need to qualify for being worthy. You just have to be alive. And here we are.
Mhm.
And
Right.
then you just decided and then took the action depending on what choice you decided on.
No, yeah. And I think it was just the exhaustion of choosing that first choice for so long. You
Yes,
know, I
yes.
used to write in my journal all the time, when you're at this weight, you can wear a bikini to the beach. When you're at this weight, you'll be able to do this. You'll be able to do this. And it was like, oh my gosh, like how exhausting was life waiting for a milestone before I allow myself to live. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, permission slip given to yourself. I love that. And is that the same way you just created that, which I like to identify as well, that just fuck it attitude to be like, if someone thinks this of me, fuck it, it's not my problem. Like I feel that in my core and it's so freeing and liberating. How did you get
Really.
to that attitude about yourself and your body?
I think it's funny because you know I'm really close with my girl cousins who are like a year apart from me, you know, and they've always been a lot thinner than me. The best allies, you know, have always never made
Mm.
me feel any way about my weight. But I noticed sometimes you would navigate like going to the mall or going out, and like they'd be like, "Oh, so and so's looking at us," and I'd be like, "I don't care.
Mm.
I don't care." You know, I feel like it's I don't know if it's like a personality thing, but like I just feel like I can't let strangers dictate my moves. Like I just don't care. You know, I'm very tunnel vision. When I'm out, I'm like, I see my eye on myself, my happiness, the people around me. Like, who cares if people are giving me the nastiest looks? Who cares if people are pointing and laughing? Like, girl, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's all like a personal thing. But I do feel like getting my degree in psychology had somewhat of an impact on that because I learned
Yeah.
about projection. I learned about, you know, people's self defense mechanisms and a lot of what people are trying to portray onto you are things that they feel about themselves and how much they would hate themselves. They already hate themselves,
Mhm.
but they would hate themselves even more if they look like that or they were to wear those outfits out in public. Like they would never dare. So I
Yeah.
think, why would I care about somebody's opinion who literally hates themselves? I can't
Yes.
allow that to have any impact on my life. Like,
So true. Honestly, so unbelievably true. And in terms of like how you show up in your body every day, there's something you said that was really key that I want to speak to. You said at some point, it's okay if I don't think I look cute all the time. Because what I see as an eating disorder recovery coach is so many women get so far in recovery and then they gain weight most of the time, not always, but most of the time they do. And then they're not willing to like push past the barrier of them not liking the way they look in the mirror. And why? My question to them is, do you believe or are you willing to believe that you can be happy and live an awesome life full of love and fun without always loving the way you look and the body you have? So explain to me how that shifted for you. So did you go from being in the eating disorder to always wanting and needing to like the way you looked? And then what helped you just to be like, it's actually okay if I don't always like the way I look? Because that was a massive pivoting point for me. And that set me free, to be honest.
I think it had a lot to do with like decent. And I hate to say that men are always like the root of the problems, but like we are, it would be like, dumb to us to not consider the fact that we're living under like this patriarchy of men where, we're constantly performing. And something that always stuck with me was when my father went to like a doctor visit with me when I was like 9 years old. It was like, you are so beautiful. But
Mm.
if you lost some weight, you could be pretty enough to be a mom. Like
Ugh.
you would be so like I remember those words just sticking with me through high school, through middle school, like through all of my phases in life. And I cut my father off in college, changed my last name from his and everything. Like I was like, I need people that are around me that support me and that want to see me do great. Um, and yeah, I decentered that. And I also had cut off a lot of guy friendships who only seen me worthy because of how I looked,
Mm.
and having just women friendships and surrounding yourself with women who also love you despite what you look like, and having amazing women that raised me love me despite of what I look like. My grandma doesn't say like, "Oh, you don't look cute today. I'm not making you soup if you're sick."
Yeah.
That's not realistic. People that really love you and will see you worthy of respect and taking care of you despite how you looked really helped me get out of that mindset. Once I stopped caring how I looked for men, if that makes sense, then I
Yeah.
think that really shifted like whether or not I care if I look cute, because you're right. It doesn't really dictate, it shouldn't dictate your happiness. Sometimes you're not going to look cute when you're in your luteal phase. It's probably when
Oh,
you got
yes.
you look crazy,
Yes.
but it's like you still deserve to go out and do the things that you want to do. I feel like that is such a male-centered idea that has been forced
Mm.
upon women, that we only deserve respect and kindness and love and happiness if you are attractive.
Yes, and there's a coach called Summer Innanen, and she has a great quote which I think you'll love. And she says, "We weren't born to give men boners."
That's the tea. That is the tea. Like,
Right. And when we understand that, because again, you and I actually have very similar journeys in terms of like how we wanted men to perceive us. And when we were just like, fuck that, I wasn't born to give men boners all the time, and
right.
just embraced your natural, authentic body, that's freedom. But then also, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I had to then let go of the thinner version of me that was getting, and I'm still in a slim body now, but I was
Mhm.
doing fitness modeling and things, so I was praised a lot. So I almost had to trade. It was if like, nothing comes for free, everything has a cost and a gain. I had to trade that validation from everybody, the perfect body, for total freedom. And I tell you what, it was worth it a million times over. But it's also scary because you're having to let go what thinness or being pretty or beautiful means to you, right?
Yeah, I think it's a lot about looking inside and asking yourself, why does it mean so much to you?
Yeah.
Like that was like a really big point of like self-reflection I remember having, just thinking like, why do I care if more men want to talk to me, or, people are perceiving me a certain way or giving me that praise and validation? And I would say like now, even just at the size that I am, I still get a lot of praise. I do get a lot of hate too, and from men. And honestly, I could do without it. Like I could care less if they're praising me. I think that I make content for women and I make content
Mm.
for the girls that want to feel represented and feel beautiful. And like that's the kind of praise that excites me now. Like women being like, thank you, because of you. I wore this
Mm.
crop top because of I had older women tell me that she's wore a bodycon dress for the first time in her life at 60 years old because of me. And I think
Wow.
that's the validation I live for, not the validation of whether a man thinks I'm pretty or not.
Yeah, because what are your values? If you don't mind sharing like your top three values in life, what are your values now?
I feel like one of my main values is always kindness. When I was a teacher, I would always say, like, be kind to me, be kind to your classmates, and be kind to yourself. I don't even want
Hmm.
to hear any self depreciating type of talk because that manifests. So being just very kind to everybody, whether they have anything to offer you, whether it's just somebody off the street, just that kindness, I feel like has taken really far in my career because kindness leads me to minding my business and
Yes.
leads me to not like be really harsh and react to everybody's moves as the way that I feel like people are so critical on the internet now, but it's because they're not kind to themselves. So how dare
Yes.
you exist the way you are? I don't even deserve kindness. You don't deserve kindness. But I think that is one of my main values. And I think this one just sounds like a little like odd, but like self love. I feel like everybody says self love, and it's kind of similar to kindness. But like when you love a child, you you shouldn't allow how they look to determine whether or not they deserve to eat or whether they
Yeah.
deserve to, like you should still buy them a bathing suit because they want to go swimming. Their child. Like I always think of myself like that and being so loving and kind to myself and not even just me as a whole, but even to certain body parts. Like I used to hate my arms because I thought they were so big, but I'm like, these arms have helped me do my makeup every day. They give my loved ones hugs.
Mm.
They will one day hold my own kids. Why am I bullying them? That's so nasty. Like, imagine something helping you so much in this life, and you've spent so many years being like, I want to hide them. I don't, I hate them. You're just so like nasty towards even singular body parts. So I think just being so loving and kindness are just probably my two biggest ones.
I love those. And if you think back to before you started all of this work and growth, what would you have said your top two values were then, before you started the eating disorder recovery and psychology and all of that?
Would definitely say, because I wish I could say that like even before I started the recovery, like I was a lot more like quiet about myself. Like I was still like I was prom queen, I was in pageants in high school, and even when I was going through all those things, I still was like I don't really care. Like I'm not going to let it be the forefront of who I was, but
Mhm.
I think it was very much like fake it till you make it. Like I was putting on a show. Like I was faking it, faking who I was till one day I would hope that I would believe it. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that I did get over that and I'm believing it and no longer feel like I'm faking it. But it really was like putting on a facade, never
Mhm.
showing them who you really are. Um,
Yeah.
those were definitely my values back then. And also, like you said, like looking attractive, feeling
Mm.
validated. I would always be like, it's okay if you call me fat, like I can take your man. I was very much
Yes.
like that,
Yeah.
like which is like what is that is that even a prize?
Yeah. It's a protective mechanism, isn't it? From
Mm-hmm.
the
No.
hurt and the pain that's actually underneath the insult that was given, because at the time you believed that fat was bad. Because fat, in my opinion, is just like you have brown hair.
Yes.
It
Yeah, I
it's
say that
just a
all the time.
descriptor.
Right.
It's not a negative insult, but of course most of the world think it is.
Yeah, they even hate when I call myself fat. Like I'll be like, oh, like just being in like a fat body. I'm like, no, you're not fat. You're beautiful. And I'm like, oh, like I never
Yeah.
said I was ugly. I just
Yes.
it's okay with being fat, but we have still like some ways to go with that because I feel like
Yeah.
still to this day people are like, don't call me fat, call me plus size, and I respect everybody's walk with the word, but
Yes.
I know being named Faith, I used to hate my name, like having that sound because he was like fat Faith, and I would be like, oh,
Ah,
like, why would you name me this? Like, it has like the F, and I would be just so distraught. And now I think that there's just so much power and beauty in my name, and I could care less. You call me fat, like I am.
Oh, that is beautiful. And the way you spell your name too, it's
Yes.
beautiful. So do you want to tell the listeners how they'll probably see it on the thing they've actually clicked on to watch this, but just in case they missed it, how do you spell your name?
Paith.
Yeah, it's beautiful spelling of it.
Thank you.
So if someone was listening to this or perhaps follows you, etc., and they're like, right, everything Phaith is saying, like I fully resonate in my soul with. However, how do I get to where she is? And maybe currently they're in a fat body and they don't like what they see in the mirror. And of course, they're in the same society that we're in, so it's also everywhere. But they want what you have, that freedom around food, in your body, in yourself. What are the first steps to getting to where you are now?
I think it's really baby steps. You know, you don't have to go out and like put on a crop top today, but maybe wear something that you probably are is on your Pinterest board for your weight
Mm.
loss. When you reach the other
Yeah,
side, look at
yeah.
that and say, like, maybe I'll wear something similar to that. Maybe it's styling myself more. They say when you love a house, you start decorating it. So
Oh, yeah.
decorate it a little, put on your makeup or put on whatever makes you feel good and makes you feel more beautiful, because eventually your heart and your mind are going to sync up and they're going to catch up to this version of you that isn't going to care or let people hold this power over you. I think there was a lot of my life that I don't even know if this is like the healthiest way to go about it, but I would just like be like, nobody else exists but me. Like, this is my world and everybody else is just living in it. Would I care if some background character like did not care or did not like what I was wearing? Like, no, I wouldn't. And I think allowing myself to disconnect from the reality of what people want me to look like or how they want to perceive me really helped me in doing those baby steps, starting to wear what I like and just not really caring anymore. So I think it's the really little things. It doesn't have to be big, but even something as simple as just like wearing a dress type that you wouldn't normally gravitate towards and saying like, okay, I feel comfortable in this, I feel good in this, and just
Yeah.
walking towards that.
Yeah, and start taking those action. It's all about it's not all about action, but action is very important, isn't it? We
Yeah.
can read the books, we can listen to these podcasts, we can become inspired and motivated, but if we're not actually taking the action for ourselves, nothing will change within our personal reality. We'll just be more educated on the
Mhm.
subject.
Right. You'll be knowing it, but not living it.
Yeah, and there's a big difference.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so what projects have you been working on or are you working on? Because you're not a coach, are you? So people can't work with you or like can people how can people be in your world and of course following you, but like is there anything that you're working on that is exciting at the minute?
I am working, I'm currently newly an ambassador for NAMI, which is a mental health organization. So I'm really excited for the projects that we have coming up with them. I feel like I'm also very accessible when it comes to, social media. So when people follow me, like I go on live a lot and my followers love my lives because that's where they'll get to pick my brain. And, they always ask me like, oh, I have this coming up and I don't feel like comfortable, like what should I do, or my boyfriend said something about my body, what should I do, and I will
Yeah.
get real and I'll get raw and I'll put my big sister hat on and I will tell you how it is. So I love that about my community, that they trust like I'm going to answer your questions and I'm going to be there at the forefront. But I also just had an edit with Pretty Little Thing came out. It
Oh,
goes up to a size 5X. So I'm super proud of that. And yeah, I have some other things in the works that, we're just getting the kinks out, but I'm excited. The future is bright.
yes. And you're such an important part of this movement because some of us have got to do it, right? And you're doing it. You're
Thank
getting out
you.
there and you're giving permission slips to people that we don't need, but at the same time, we still feel like we need some permission slips sometimes to just embrace ourselves. I'm
Yeah.
curious. I think we have time because what you said in terms of you supporting your community and one of the questions that was asked, I think it's worth asking that. What if someone's boyfriend comments on their body? For example, they don't find it attractive or they're fat shaming them, like, but you love each other. Like, what would you advise there?
Leave them.
Yes.
I'm the girl that's always gonna be like, leave him, leave him. I would say leave him for less, actually, but especially if it's at a point like that. Like I've been in relationships with men that, were very in denial. They'd be like, you're not fat, those type of men. And then I would be
Right.
in relationships with men that are like, oh, you're plus size. I love it so much. But then when the going got tough, they'd be like, oh, like, you want to lose weight, then you need to be serious about it. And I'm going to hold you accountable. And I'm
Oh,
going to be, like, yeah, it was very much ends of the spectrum. And I'm so grateful that I have now a partner that is willing to be educated, who has been in a thin body for majority of his life, but is still like so open to all of the world of fat phobia. And he's witnessing it every day. Every time we post a picture together, think pieces. We're always going viral because people are making think pieces of why somebody like him would be with somebody like me. And he is so dedicated to dismantling that. I will tell him
yeah.
like, I'll test him and I'll be like, oh, does this make me look fat? And he'd be like, fat isn't a negative word. So I don't really know what you're
Oh,
asking here. I trained
yes.
him. Trained him, like I told him these are the things that I don't want, for you to feed into. Like, I don't want you to give into that. I want you to be on your toes because one day we're going to hopefully have a daughter. And I want you to make sure these are your responses to her. And
Yes.
she might come to you one day, somebody might have said something to her at school. And I want you to be 10 toes down on, just how you pour into her. So leave that man. Leave the man that doesn't want to tolerate it because there's another man out there that is so willing to learn and is going to love you just the way you are, however you are.
Exactly. And I did a podcast episode yesterday and I was talking about intimacy and sex. And
Mhm.
I was saying, like, feeling sexy is not a body size.
Yeah.
You don't have to be thin or look the way you think you should look in order to be sexy. It's a feeling that you get to create for yourself, right? Through the work that you're doing, the inner work, the action, and then just deciding that, you know what, I deserve to be sexy. I'm going to choose to feel that. And then your partner's not going to complain
Yeah.
if you're choosing to be sexy, right? Do you think it is as easy as just choosing and then acting?
I think it's really, yeah, I think it is about that. I think it's funny because this is where I feel like intersectionality kind of comes into terms. Like something that a lot of people like to do is like stereotypes and be like, oh, like, of course your boyfriend is black or, and I think that comes from the fact that a lot of people have these Eurocentric ideas of like what beauty and what sexy is. And they have put that at the forefront and they think the world should abide by that. But there's a lot of other cultures that view being plus size as like the top of the food chain. They see that as like a status of wealth. They see those
Yeah.
things as like you can bear children, like, and I think decentering those Eurocentric ideas freed me from that because I was always worried,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like, is he just like, is this just I'm a stereotype? But genuinely, other cultures and other, I'm another culture, and I find beauty in being, thicker and having more weight on people. So I feel like just freeing yourself from that allows you to be like, wow, you are sexy. Maybe you're not sexy to maybe like, I guess, a white person or whatever, but who cares? Again, back to the decentering things, because I know my boyfriend finds me sexy. I find him sexy. And I think that's all that really matters. And just shifting your mind into being like, what really matters at the end of the day, kind of living through them.
Yeah. And you will find your person
Right.
if you're being yourself. So I was watching Gaia one day and then they said the best way to love yourself is to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And what a great quote, because that's true. And then when you love who you are by being yourself, you attract someone into your life who loves your natural, authentic self too, because you do.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything that I've not asked you, Faith, that you might want to share with the audience?
I'm trying to think. I think this conversation has been lovely. It's been really refreshing.
Good.
I
Yeah.
think that often just explaining your existence to people in sometimes bodies that don't look like yours is an exhausting life to live, so I think it's really validating. And I love all of the work that you're doing, because it's people like you that sometimes people will listen to
Yeah.
over people like me,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but I think utilizing that type of privilege and allyship is what is going to get this movement farther than where it is now. And we've already gotten pretty far, but sometimes it feels like we're taking 10 steps back,
Mm.
when we're living in this age of just like trying to go backwards with like heroin chic and Ozempic and
I was
all the
going to say
ads
that word,
again.
Ozempic. Like that's a whole fucking
you
other
know,
conversation. Yep.
literally a whole other conversation. But I'm just grateful for you and for you to take the time to, just hear me and my story today.
Oh, of course, I've loved this hour has gone so fast. It's flew by, and I've took a lot out of today, so I know that my listeners would have as well. And I'm feeling like your account would be, of course, not only good for my listeners to follow, but maybe their partners, people who are open to being educated about these issues. So would you say that it would be beneficial for someone like a partner who wants to learn more about how the world is and how it affects us and how we can make a change, all of that good stuff?
Absolutely. And I think your account as well. I think I'm definitely gonna send my way from your account. He loves to learn. He always says he's the Coretta Scott King to my movement, to
Oh,
the MLK movement that he feels like, that I have. So yeah, I know that he'll definitely be sat and listening to you. And I know so many people will definitely be educated by you.
yeah. Thank you, Faith. Thank you so much for your time and wisdom and for your energy. You have great energy. You are just
Thank you.
like queen goddess energy just right there. And
Thank you.
how old are you, by the way?
I am 26.
26, yeah. I'm 37. 11 years on you. I wish
Wow.
I was where you were when I was that age. But then again, I wouldn't be who I am today, right? But
When did you get that like mindset shift?
I started my recovery when I was 30.
Mm,
And I would say I fell in love with who I was and just gave no shits when I was about 34.
mm.
So yeah, like maybe 3 years ago now. And I feel like I'm a completely new reborn person. Like the past me, it feels like it was a past life almost because I've come
Yeah.
back home to who I am. So thank you, Faith. And I'll
Thank
obviously
you.
pop all your links and everything below so people can follow you and be in your world. And listeners, I will see you next week. Much love.